Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and today we're having a very chill, relaxing little illustration sort of video. As many of you who follow me on Instagram might know, I have been really getting into markers recently, as it was one of my art-related New Year's resolutions was to start using markers and actually learn how to use them. So I'm just kind of showing you guys some of the ones I've been doing in my sketchbook. And the other night I had a little idea for an illustration that I wanted to kind of try out with some markers on a bigger piece of paper. And because I'm a noob and I don't have marker paper, I'm just using some like heavy duty kind of high grain paper that I had lying around. So that's what I'm going to be using. So if it doesn't turn out that great, I'm blaming it on the paper. Yeah, so I just kind of sketched out this drawing idea that I had onto the big piece of paper using a mechanical pencil. I'm using a Faber-Castell mechanical pencil, but honestly, it's just what I had lying around. And the markers that I had recently been using in my sketchbook was the markers that I gave my sister for her birthday, and it was the touch-only twin markers that I got from Banggood. So I gave those to my sister, and while I was home, I was kind of using them to start practicing my marker technique, I guess. But for this illustration, I'm going to be using my Art and Fly markers, and they are brush markers, which is very exciting because I really do enjoy a good brush marker. So I'm very excited to try these out. And I am going to also try and use some pencil and some mixed media sort of on this illustration, and I'm following a process that I saw on Azaris on Instagram. I'm sorry, I can't really remember how to spell her name, but her @ on Instagram, I'm gonna leave it down in the description. Basically, she does beautiful and like mind-blowing illustrations with markers and pencil, and I've been recently using her sort of process, so drawing out the sketch first and then using a Col-Erase pencil in like a dark red to actually draw out the final sketch. And then because the Col-Erase doesn't really rub out very easily, it's good because you can then rub out the graphite pencil underneath, and that doesn't smudge the markers because the Col-Erase pencil doesn't smudge the markers at all. So this is kind of the process that I've been using for my marker drawings. And for this video, I actually used just a random eraser, but I recently also invested in a putty eraser that will facilitate my life monumentally because it'll just be good for erasing the graphite much easier and me not having to be so cautious without erasing the Col-Erase pencil. So once the sketch was done, I got my markers out, and these are the markers that I have from Art and Fly. I have a little chart as well that I made to see which colors look like what to help me pick out my colors for this piece. So I was planning on having some sort of cool, like purplish night sky background behind her, and I wanted to make her like a dark-haired, light-eyed girl. She kind of reminds me of a friend that I have, so I wanted to kind of keep it with that. I started off with a base skin tone, and I basically start lighter to darkest, which is what I'm assuming you do with markers, and that's the kind of approach that I had. I do use a chisel nib just to lay down flats and like bigger areas of color, and then I use the brush nib to add details, such as I am doing here for her bangs and stuff, just using the brush nib to get the finer details. And something really cool about these brush nibs for the Art and Fly markers is that they aren't too flexible, so you can really get some cool details without worrying about the brush nib kind of, bending on you and screwing you over. They're really, really nice. It's a good brush nib. It's a good brush nib. So I kind of went in with a dark brown for her hair, for the base color of her hair. And I learned as well from Azaris. I checked their sort of process in terms of laying down the colors as well. And what they do is they lay down flats with markers, and then they go in for the details with pencil and darker colors of the markers that were used for the base. So that's again another approach that I tried here. So as I said, I'm trying to get into markers, and this is how I get into like new materials. I follow artists that do it very well, in my opinion, and that I really enjoy the work of, and then I kind of try and figure out their process from that, and then I keep trying it myself until I figure out some sort of process that suits me and the style that I want to, you know, evoke with these materials. So that's sort of my process with anything or any new material. So as for markers, since I am still learning, as you can tell, that's kind of what I've been doing. I've been taking inspiration and learning with her process, because something really cool is that a lot of people put out on Instagram like a step-by-step process, which is very, very helpful. I try to do that with my drawings now as well on Instagram, so people can kind of understand what my step-by-step process is, and it really helps me learn with new materials, which is very good. So as you can see here, I just took a bit of a darker marker and went in to add some beginner shadings, so just kind of darkening the skin here and there. And then I tried blending it for the first time here, and I realized how a little difficult these are to blend a little bit. They're not as easy as I'd say as the other markers that I used, the touch only twin markers. These are a bit tougher to blend out, even though there is a blending stump, and they blend easily with each other when the colors are very similar. But when the colors are so different, like this red that I put down on her cheek that kind of just stayed there as a blob, it didn't really blend out as much as I wanted it to. But I'm not sure if that's the marker, if it's me, so I'll get back to you with that. And then for the hair, I went in with a darker brown as well to just add some details in her braids and her hair, basically. So yeah, the thing is, sometimes it's kind of still hard for me to understand how to stop them from blending and not blending. It's a learning curve, I'd say, because it's not like watercolors where you can control them so much easier, whereas markers, you just got like this one thing that you can do with them. You know, you can't really dilute them or add more water to them or blend them more, blend them less. You kind of have to learn how to put the colors down in a way that will favor your illustration. So one thing that I did learn that was really nice is if I have like some sort of mistake that I made, I can use the blending marker to kind of mask it a little bit. And honestly, I'm gonna be real with you, the consistency and the way that the markers go on the paper still confuses me. I don't understand how exactly it works, but this is why I'm still learning. And it's interesting. It's interesting. It's kind of like when you put the marker down, the color, it kind of spreads a little bit. And it's sort of like as if it's wet, but it's not. It's very strange. So I'm still trying to figure that out. So as you can see, I brought out my Faber-Castell Polychromo pencils to add some more details on top of this basic marker layer that I've put down. It does have a bunch of details already, but the darkest details I like to add with my pencils. And also, as you can see, I figured out how to fix the cheek blush situation that I had a problem with. I think I just kept going back to it every once in a while and tried to blend it out, and eventually I think it worked a little bit. She is very blushed up. It's a very strong blush, but I'm going to try and level it out on the other side with pencil, because I didn't want to risk it again with the marker on the other side. So I'm using a black Polychromo to kind of add the finishing details around her eyes, on her eyebrows, on her frilly top, on her hair. I always do this like regardless of what material I'm using. Even in watercolors, I normally go in with a black Polychromo pencil to add the last finishing details. I feel like it really finishes the piece off, because it allows you some sort of first of all, it mixes up textures, which is also really cool. It's something I'm very interested in, is like the mixing of textures and stuff, and also it really pops out the depth of the drawing, I guess. So I'm using also a reddish pencil to, you know, kind of balance out the blush on her face and also fix up the lips and etc, etc. I had some trouble with the nose and the lips a little bit as I was trying to figure out sort of what to do with it. And then I decided to keep her frilly top as just a plain old white. I didn't really add much more shading to it. I just went in with like a gray pencil and added a little bit of shading, but kept it very simple as I wanted the main focus to be on her face. And I tried to use like my finger to blend out the pencil a little bit to kind of match the blending of the markers, but because, as I said, I'm using like a textured paper because it's the only one I had, the pencil texture on the paper was a lot more noticeable than I had anticipated. So that's a note for the future Piper, that she shouldn't use textured paper when using pencils. I think it was some sort of watercolor paper, which is even cringier now as I think about it. But if you look at it from a distance, you can't really tell. But up close, it's very noticeable that there is some sort of grainy texture underneath, and it kind of just has a very large contrast to the markers, which is quite annoying. But you know what? Learning opportunities. I then went in with my Signo Uniball white pen to add some stars in the background and fix up that moon, and also to add the frills on her top as I had gone over them a little bit with the markers. But I just went in and added also the last finishing highlights and just pops of, you know, shine on her face and in her eyes, on her lip, and also fix some of the clouds in the back because, again, I was a bit messy with the markers and I'm still trying to figure out blending with them. And then something that I've been loving to do with my marker illustrations is to go around the like main focus character with a white gel pen and give her like an outline to make her really pop from the background. I think it looks really cute. I've been really enjoying doing this. I don't really know who I picked it up from, I'm gonna be very honest, but I'm very, very excited about this new way of, you know, doing an illustration. I think someone who does this a lot is Drawing with Waffles. That's who it is. She does this a lot in her drawings at the end. She kind of gives them a white outline to make them pop. So I feel like that's where I picked it up from, and I very, very much enjoy it. So that's what I'm doing here. And I think that was pretty much the last couple of details that I added. I kind of went in a little bit, you know, to add some glare in the glasses and like a little reflection and just, you know, some other bits and bobs here and there. I think I went into the hair as well with the black pencil at this point. And then, of course, it was just a matter of adding my signature over there to the side. And yeah, overall, I'm quite happy with how it turned out, considering this was sort of like not the first time, but the first time I was actually properly using these markers to do a full-blown illustration. Because I know I used these for my 3-marker challenge a while ago, but it wasn't as, you know, intense of an illustration as this was. So I'm very actually proud of how I've been doing with markers, considering I'm very much a noob to them, and I'm very in love with them. Don't get me wrong. It's a new medium that I'm finding out that I really, really enjoy using. So expect to see a lot more illustrations with markers from me as I go on this journey. I use my guillotine to just kind of cut like a mistake that I made at the bottom and also center the drawing out a bit better. And then I cleaned up the borders with some white gel pen, and that was pretty much it, guys, for my illustration today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you like this kind of sort of new you know, adventure that I'm on, and let me know if you want to see any more videos like this where I try using markers and show you guys my development. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.